All right, so you're the first person I'm trying this on. It's called In the Pocket. I'm going to throw a whole bunch of questions at you. You answer them as quickly as possible, and it's just to kind of break the ice. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Who is your favorite fighter?
Dan Hooker.
Would you rather be knocked out or submitted?
Knocked out.
Oh, what is your favorite dinosaur?
Stegosaurus.
Do you go sock, shoe, or sock, shoe?
Sock, shoe.
Would you rather wear the same pair of underpants for 2 weeks or the same pair of socks for 4 weeks?
Socks.
What's something you're really bad at?
Telling people goodbye.
And what is something that you're proud of but never get to brag about?
Peeing standing up at night and not making a mess with no love.
Oh, okay. That's feel free to brag all you want.
Yeah, if you don't hit the water.
Yes, that's
night,
how you sound it, eh? Yeah.
You gotta see with your ears. I just want a urinal. Like, maybe I should, when I own a house and I build it, I just get a urinal.
Yeah.
It'd be way easier.
Today I'm squaring up with Cam Rowston, two-time King of the Ring champion in 2 different weight divisions, 8-2 professional MMA career record, and potentially the next UFC fighter to come out of CKB, fighting in Dana White's Contender Series on the 5th of September. How are we going, Cam?
I'm good. I'm feeling good.
Couple weeks out. How are you feeling? Yeah.
Feeling pretty fresh.
Yeah.
The body's feeling good. Everything's firing. I'm ready to go.
Is it quite a serious, do you treat it like a tournament? Is your prep for, say, King in the Ring similar to you're prepping for this? Is it just another fight, or?
It is another fight. Like, every fight's a big fight coming up. But the technical side of the prep is a lot different for this one than it was for King in the Ring, and it's kind of enjoyable, like switching it up, having to work on something like quite specific, because you know if you're hitting the marks or you're not hitting the marks.
What do you mean by that?
There's set plays that the coaches will get me to do, like on the pads and stuff, and I know if I'm doing them right or if I'm doing them wrong, especially in sparring and stuff. And then for King in the Ring, you couldn't fight any of the 7 guys, so you just don't want to say you do like a general preparation, but you do a very broad preparation for the fight.
Yeah. For prepping for the Contender Series, for the big fighters in the UFC, there's a fair bit of footage that they can watch to prep for the fighter and see what they're like. I imagine for the person you're up against, there's not a whole lot. So how does that go with trying to prep for the specific fighter as opposed to an 8-round tournament?
From like the footage that we've got some pretty good data, and my coaches are pretty smart, and yeah, we're able to just look at that and decide what we're going to do and just nail it down, just get a few things right.
So how did getting your foot into the door to get to in the Contender Series work?
Personally, it wasn't me that did it. It was my manager and Eugene. They obviously have contacts in the UFC, and they put my name and a few other names in there, sent off a highlight reel, showed them the record, all that, and it just basically just came down to what the matchmakers were looking for, and they just chose me. Yeah. And
are there other methods that fighters from outside of the world can get in? Because I know Blood Diamond got his contract through a different way.
Yeah.
What other methods are there?
Oh, definitely. There's just be an animal, just be a beast, win on the local scene, regional scene, just dominate.
Be a 2-time Hex champion.
And you just can't be denied, really.
Yeah.
That's it.
And it's quite a big career opportunity for you with a potential contract on the line. Does that kind of weigh into your prep and how you're feeling towards it all, or do you kind of try not to think about it?
No, I definitely take that into account for my prep. It's I just kind of put everything on hold in my life and just work for this, because it's just something that I've been working on for so long. Whereas I don't want to insult anyone, but some of the other fights that I've had, I can still get away with doing a few other things, not bad things, but being a little less focused. But
yeah.
But this one for sure is just everything's on hold, just waiting to finish this and get training done.
Because will it be kind of a relief then if you're thinking about getting through it?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
The stress level's quite high. Just like.
They are high, but keeping them controlled.
Yeah. Was that quite a skill you felt like you had to develop?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I was like, fuck, I've never been this stressed for a fight before. It's like, okay, this is teaching me something. So, yeah. Did
each time you have a fight kind of build up? Because I imagine as the better you do, the more important, when you're doing amateur fights and then you switch to professional and then you're in an 8-man tournament, How far into that career did you realize, like, I really need to figure out the stress thing?
First fight.
First fight?
Not even the first fight. It was the first jiu-jitsu tournament I did. Fuck, I was pretty stressed for that. Because I hadn't done anything like that before. Like, I'd never been in any street fights when I was a kid or anything. So it was like the first time I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta actually like battle with someone. It was a jiu-jitsu tournament. I remember I didn't sleep the night before. But then I got better at managing it from there, and I won. Yeah. I won the tournament. So then I was like, okay, it's not that bad. Then you learn to manage it a little bit more. I think it's more just the anxiety and the waiting for it is what gives you the stress, rather than the actual getting in there is fine. Yeah.
What methods do you use to manage it?
Just a bit of like perspective, knowing that I've gone through it before, and like knowing that on the other end it's not as bad as you think it's going to be, and being in there it's not as bad as you think it's going to be, and just using that kind of stuff. Yeah.
With what's on the line with the Contender Series, leading up to it, is it about having a single mentality of going in and just no self-doubt, or in preparation do you kind of prepare for all outcomes?
No self-doubt.
Yeah.
It's got to be all in. There's no. I think with fighting there can't be any self-doubt. That's when guys get hurt. Yeah. So you just got to be all in with this. Yeah.
So do you think when fighters say like, yeah, sure, that could happen, but they're still backing themselves, or is that even if you admit for a second that you could lose, that's self-doubt?
I mean, it's always in the back of people's minds, but you got to manifest it and you got to speak it. You say, when I make the UFC, when I beat this guy, not if.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, I know when Izzy was prepping for his contender fight, he was writing on his mirror and stuff like that. Do you use similar kind of manifestation techniques, or is any mantras or anything like that?
I do quite a bit of visualization, like after training, before training. I like to just go for like walks or maybe bike rides, just without any music, and that's kind of like my form of meditation, without having to sit still and do all that stuff. I can't really sit still. Yeah.
You must be struggling right now then.
No, this is all right. If I have to sit still with like no phone, none of that, I'm screwed.
Is that something you had to train yourself to do, just to have no music, have nothing like that, and doing the activity and spending time in your head?
Oh,
that sounds horrible.
My dad used to take me and my brother on these holidays, and we'd drive from like Sydney to Melbourne, and he would just have like his music on the radio. This was before we didn't have Game Boys. I couldn't read books in the car because I get car sick. Before iPhones, before iPods, and we'd just stare out the window. I think I got pretty good at just like just doing stuff in my head for like hours and hours. So I feel like doing that as a kid, and I've still kept that ability just to like visualize quite well, in like now as I am now.
And with you fighting in the Contender Series in a couple of weeks, there's a couple of other fighters that have fought in it from this gym. Well, Carlos Ulberg anyway. Have you asked for advice, or has he offered any advice on how to handle it, what to expect?
He's given me a few pointers. He's just saying, I guess, just same thing anyone would say before the fight. Just go, or like before the whole build-up, because there is a bit of a build-up and you got to talk and stuff to the camera. He's like, just be yourself, go out there, fight like you would normally fight. He's like, just have fun, I guess.
Yeah. How do you find doing the media sort of stuff?
Getting better at it, when I first was doing it, I don't even think I answered the questions properly when I first started getting asked questions, but now, getting better.
So just like yes or no's kind of thing?
I might have a character turn and just go heel one day. Maybe be like Sean Strickland and just go full heel turn.
Do you reckon he turned heel? I just reckon he's... Like Covington, I reckon's putting on a character. I reckon Sean's a bit of an idiot. Because this is going online, I shouldn't call him an idiot. But I think
he had that suppressed down there, and I think he realised he wasn't going to be the clean-cut knight in white armour that the UFC wanted, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna." Is
this Covington or
this is Strickland? And he's like, "Fuck it, I'll just be me."
Yeah. And you reckon Strickland was the opposite? Oh, sorry, Covington was the opposite.
Yeah, a bit of that.
There's footage of him that circled around recently that was like, I don't believe in having to put on a gimmick.
Some people try and do it to sell fights. They think more people are going to tune in, which is more viewers, which is what we want. But you know, I'm respectful. I always keep it classy unless the guy's going to go over the top and try and make fun of my family, you know. So, you know, I don't weigh into it, you know.
Stop it. Stop it.
Have you seen that? There's a photo going around like these could be the 3 champions by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And it's O'Malley, Strickland,
yeah.
and then one of them's in it. It's just like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
So you're 2-time King of the Ring champion. You've been King of the Ring 3 times?
3 times.
Yeah. So going from your first one, knowing I've got to potentially fight 3 fights tonight, and then in the next one you've been through it. Each time you've gone through it, have you noticed a difference in the way you manage your gas tank or how you fight? Because imagine in an 8-man round, you want it to finish as quickly as possible. It's not, you don't sit back. So have you noticed a change in how you handle each tournament?
Biggest change would be what I'm doing in the back between the fights. I remember the first time I did it, like after I finished the first fight, I was like still going a million miles an hour in the back. I was like trying to stay warm, and it was like half an hour till the next fight. So I was still hitting pads for like half an hour in the back. Then the next fight after that, I was like, okay, I probably shouldn't hit pads for half an hour before the next fight. So I was a lot more chill, taking my time, chatting with people, and then I started the warm up. And then for this one, it was pretty much the same, but I think I just got better at managing the energy in the back and just staying way more calm. I didn't really talk to that many people in between the fights, and then you kind of get the timing of I've fought before. How soon should I warm up before the next one, and then it just got a little bit more refined on the last one.
I've heard fighters talk about the adrenaline dump after that first fight. Did you experience that, and how do you kind of get through the next 2 rounds when you've had this high and you've crashed?
Well, it's hard to get the adrenaline back for the last few fights. I just know that it's just going to be a little bit more painful every other fight after that first adrenaline dump, so I just kind of accept it and keep going with it.
I don't know if it particularly applies to the UFC, but you hear coaches say that fighters become 30% better when they become champion. And so when you got that King of the Ring title, did you notice a kind of shift in your performance? Was there like a big confidence increase?
There's definitely a confidence increase. I wouldn't say there was like a big immediate improvement in my performance. Daily in the gym, like I wouldn't say like, oh yeah, the next time I sparred I was way better, I was kicking everyone's ass. Nah, no way. You have your days, like good days, bad days in training. Like today was a pretty good day in training for me, but I'm sure I'll have my bad day maybe next week sometime. But no, I didn't notice like a 30% increase or anything like that, but I definitely got a little bit more confident.
Would you take more risks that you wouldn't normally take because you're like, yeah, I'm the champ? No risks. Play it safe, play the percentages. Did you notice a personality shift? That's quite an achievement. And did anyone ever say, hey, you're getting a bit more cockier these days?
No, but my prices for PTs went up.
Yeah.
I don't think in fighting you can really do that, just because, like I said, like everyone has their good days and their bad days. The guys in the UFC here don't walk around going, no, I'm at the UFC, I'm going to smoke this guy, I'm better than that, because they know like anyone can close their eyes and just take a swing and still clip you.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about martial arts, eh? It's all leave your ego at the door.
Yeah.
It's very humbling. Yeah. Especially with Izzy's big thing at the moment is some days you're the hammer, some days you're the nail.
Yeah, for sure.
Posted today actually. So
yeah.
When you walk out for these events, are you in the zone when you come out, or do you actually hear the crowd? And
no, I'm 100% all in the zone. Yeah, like the lights are pretty bright when you're walking out, so it gives you like good tunnel vision. And yeah, I don't see anyone, I don't hear anyone. I just look for those stairs and just go straight for them.
Yeah. Do you always only look at one fight ahead, or sometimes when you're prepping, you're like, you think of your future career and stuff like that, or is that for times when you're not in camp?
Nah, it's definitely just one fight at a time. Yeah. Rarely do I think about like the next fight ahead. I've done that once, and I lost. I got way too focused on the fight after the fight that was happening. Then I lost the fight that was coming up, and it was terrible time.
So on that, you've got quite the win streak going. Your last loss, I think, was in 2017?
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
When you took your first either amateur or professional loss, can you remember how you felt and what you kind of learned about yourself through that experience?
The first loss in MMA, it was an amateur. I didn't really learn that much from it because it was a close fight. Like I had my moments, he had his moments. I went up a weight class. It was last minute, so I kind of had like all these excuses in the back of my head for why I lost. So I didn't really learn that much from it. But then then when I lost first as a professional, that's when it was like, oh shit! Like I actually put in like an 8-week camp. It was in my weight division and everything. I did take it seriously, but probably just how to structure a camp and who to surround yourself with in a camp and all that stuff. That's what I started to learn a lot more from that one.
What were you doing in the camp beforehand that you've learnt to not do? Is it kind of people who distract you?
Yeah, just people distracted me. I was still quite young. I think I was like 21 at the time. I was still kind of going out on the weekends, probably drinking a bit too close to the fight at all. Like probably, I don't drink anymore during fight camps and stuff, but the people I was with, where I gave my energy as well.
Yeah.
People say, "Oh, can you help me with this?" I'd say, "Oh, sure," but now it's like, no, get fucked. Like I'm not helping you with that. I mean, if it's life or death, obviously I help you. But if it's like to move a fridge up some stairs, I'll be like, maybe not.
Risks injury or something like that.
I'll pay someone else to go and help you. Yeah.
Was that quite a personality shift? Like, were you quite a yes person before that and loved to help people out?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that was something that I shifted as well. Like after maybe not that first professional loss, but the second professional loss that I had was just the mindset as well, shifting to like just being more of like, I don't want to say, I'll say it like it's being like less of a nice guy and just being a little bit more grumpy in camp and just being more of a grump, like a bit more angry and like, short-tempered. But that's just how it is in camp. Like I just want to train and just get to the fight. I don't really want to hang around and have like a 14-hour conversation with someone.
So how do camps actually work? Because you see videos of, particularly in the UFC, like it's always centered around that one fighter. And I guess now's a good question to ask because there's 6 fighters coming from one gym going to be in UFC 293. Does everyone train together and then there's certain times of the day or week where they go away with a coach for one-on-one, or what does it kind of look like?
I can't really speak for the other gyms, but at this gym here, like generally we try to get about 8 weeks of training in. That's like a perfect camp. Like every weekday we always have team training in the morning. If there's specific work that needs to be done, like a coach will come in and work with that fighter one-on-one, whether it be pads or grappling. There's always a conditioning element because you've got to be fit. So that's a non-negotiable at this gym, is doing the conditioning element. Whether you're injured or not, there's always a way to figure it out and get around it and still get your conditioning in.
Is conditioning an off-season thing, or do you do it during camp as well?
You definitely do it off-season as well. If you're not doing it in the off-season, you're not a professional. Yeah. Even though you might fight professional, but you're not taking it seriously. But yeah, without getting too sports sciencey about it, conditioning is always at some level part of the lifestyle.
In your mind, what is a professional fighter?
You know, in my mind, what is a professional fighter? First of all, you got to get paid to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your sole income, or is it just?
Oh, it's pretty hard. Like to be classified, I guess, as a professional is making any money off fighting. But yeah, I would say if you have to have another job while you're doing it, I'd say semi-professional. But a full professional will be someone who can live off it with a soul, just like fight and just live off that income.
And are you full-time fighter these days?
No, I'm still coaching a few classes here in the morning, holding some pads, doing some one-on-one training. But to be honest, like I enjoy it. I'd probably still be doing it when I make the UFC. I'm still happy to coach classes, help people one-on-one, and do all that stuff in the morning. I think it makes you better as a fighter doing that as well. But if I was like laying bricks or pouring concrete, probably not. Yeah,
easy to keep a foot in what you're actually doing, Because there's a few other fighters at the UFC still coach here, right? Like I think a friend of mine trained here for a bit and said Shane Young took a couple classes and.
Yeah. I mean, all the guys here help out and coach classes. Like because Eugene and Doug, they coach heaps of classes here. Well, obviously their gym they do. But when they go away to help for fights and stuff, those classes have to be covered, and we're always willing to step up and just help out where we can.
Because this just, I mean, you call it a public gym, but it's a regular, like, punters come here. It's not just professional fighters. Do they, in the camps, is it just a closed camp with semi-pro and professional fighters, or do the fighters train in the regular sessions with people after work and stuff like that?
There are sessions where we can train with just the average gym member, like going into a jiu-jitsu class, we can go and roll with them and stuff. But for sparring, no, the sparring's closed off into just the professionals. I'm just trying to think what other classes there are that.
It's a big trust thing in sparring.
Yeah, it's a
even
big
rolling
trust thing.
you need a lot of trust.
Well, it's mostly the grappling where we like end up cross-pollinating with the other gym members. Yeah.
You spoke about when you quickly went up a weight class in one of your first fights. With fighting in 2 different weight classes in King in the Ring, did you notice much of a difference physically and emotionally being in there? Like, you're a bit heavier and super cruiserweight, so did you notice your gas tank had to be managed different? Did the people you're fighting hit harder? What sort of differences did you notice in the different weight classes?
I noticed that I just felt like I was recovering a little bit faster when I was heavier, probably because I didn't have to cut that much. I didn't have to cut any weight compared to when I did have to cut weight. But like, I'm pretty fit anyway, so I recovered pretty fast. But I just felt like super fresh going into each round. The heavier guys definitely hit a lot harder. They hit a lot harder, but some of them were a little bit slower. But the lighter weight class, the power was still there for a lot of them, but the speed as well was definitely a lot higher in the lower weight class.
And because you fight middleweight in MMA, there's a lot less weight classes in MMA. So how do you go about choosing what weight class to go into?
I kind of always knew I was going to be a middleweight because I've sat around the same weight that like my walk around weight. I've kind of sat around that weight since I was about 18. I was a little bit chubbier back then, but I always knew like I didn't really put on a heap of size from basically when I left high school to now. So I knew I could stay at middleweight if I was pretty smart about it.
Are there strategic things you take into account as well? Like, the taller you are in you're 6'4", right? That's long for a middleweight, for 188 kgs, 83 kgs, isn't it?
84.
185 pounds, yeah. So that's, you take into, do those kind of calculations come into it, or is it just, oh, this is the nearest number to my wrist weight?
It was like pretty close to that. It was like, I could be like heavyweight, but then it's like, the first time I cut weight to get down to 84 was pretty easy, so I was like, I can just keep doing this. Even if I get bigger, it won't be that bad. Yeah. Yeah. So that was definitely like, middleweight was my choice for sure.
And when you first started amateur fighting, did you start fighting in Australia first, or did you come over here first?
No, I started fighting in Australia first. My first fight though was a K1 fight, and then I had an MMA fight, and I was alternating between just doing like K1 and Muay Thai fights and MMA where I could. And like over the space of like 2 years, I think I had about 12 or 13 fights all up, which was pretty good.
Because you said you didn't get into many street fights and stuff like that, so how did you stumble into martial arts?
Nah, no street fights as a kid. I was pretty nerdy. I just like kind of played a lot of video games and stuff. I was always watching the UFC. I started watching WWE, then Brock went to the UFC, and I was like, fuck, this is pretty sweet. And then when I watched Brock fight, I was like, oh, fuck, this is way better than WWE. And then I just kept following the UFC since then. I kind of always wanted to do it. Then a gym opened up near my house, an MMA gym, back in Sydney. And I joined there, and that was it. Like, once I walked through the door, I was like, fuck, this is fucking sweet. Like, I'm gonna keep doing this.
So when you walked in that door, was it still just a hobby sort of thing, or were you doing it just as a hobby for a while before you're like, you know what, I could take a punt at this and try and make a career?
Nah. Well, I mean, like, yeah, it was a hobby. I knew I wanted to do like some kind of competing because I played sport my whole life. I was playing a lot of basketball before I finished high school, and then I was doing jiu-jitsu, and they're like, there's just jiu-jitsu comp coming up. I'm like, oh, sweet, like, you don't have to get hit in the face. Like, even if I just get slammed on my back, like, that'll be fine. So I went in and did that, and I finished that, and I won. And I was like, fuck, this is good. I want to keep going. And then from there, I was like hooked.
Yeah.
I was like, let's just keep doing it, keep doing it. And then eventually it was like, okay, now I want to have a fight. Yeah.
Oh, because that's why I picked jiu-jitsu. It's like, I've got no interest in being hit in the face.
Yeah.
Like doing the punching looks cool and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but as soon as you kind of get, especially if you do kickboxing, apparently that first leg kick is, you always remember your first leg kick, apparently.
Fuck, I remember the first time I got my kick checked. Yeah, that was probably worse than the first leg kick because that was like instant shin splint.
Oh, and then I just think of like Chris Weidman, because he fought the other week.
We had shin pads on. We had
and
shin
it
pads
still
on.
hurt.
Yeah, I was just going way too hard, just being a spaz, and the guy checked it with his knee. And I was like, damn, that fucking hurts.
So you've fought in Shuriken, which is probably the biggest fight scene in New Zealand. But Aussie's got two big ones with Eternal and Hex. Do you think Australasia kind of has the size and fan base to do bigger ones? Like, well, Hex and Eternal are massive. And New Zealand just hasn't, like, they have the smaller ones like First Blood, and then obviously Shuriken and the others. Do you think we could pull it off?
Yeah, for sure. Shuriken's definitely leading the way. I think it's only a matter of time till they are being streamed on CSN, but it's only a matter of time, I guess, until maybe they get picked up by Sky Sports or TVNZ. I know Jason from Shuriken is doing all the right things. He's bringing guys over internationally. Like the last Shuriken that they had, we had John from here fight JJ Ambrose, who's fought in Bellator, and he lives over in Guam. So that was a huge fight. It was packed. We had some of the New Zealand Warriors come and watch and stuff. Like celebrities, like local celebrities are coming to watch Shuriken now. So it's just a matter of time until Shuriken or maybe XFC down in Dunedin just gets a little bit bigger, and then they get a little bit more coverage. They go and they get on TV or something like that.
Do you think Shuriken's got potential to surpass King of the Ring? Because King of the Ring would be the pinnacle of fighting in New Zealand, right?
Yeah, of course, for sure. They could definitely get there. I know King of the Ring starting the Arsenal X brand, but I wouldn't say they're in competition with each other. They definitely support each other a lot more than they compete against each other. Always like sharing each other's social media posts and like trying to boost up fighters. Like when I fight on Shuriken, the King of the Ring will post it, or say like Navajo fights on Shuriken, like King of the Ring will post it, and vice versa. So it's a good relationship the two promotions have.
So, because the New Zealand format is gyms host their own events. Do you think that's kind of key to its success, or does one kind of organisation need to come forward it's probably best that it's not associated solely with a gym, and then everybody comes to this one event?
That would be ideal, like, because then there's no like agenda or anything. Not saying that they do, but then there's no. But I mean, that's just how it is, I guess. Like the people who love the fight game the most, who are going to put on these shows, have their own gyms and stuff. So I don't think that's going to change. But yeah.
Were you already fighting professionally when you made the decision to move to New Zealand?
Yeah. So I had my second professional loss either September or August, I can't remember, of 2018. And then I knew something had to change. That training camp, if you could call it a training camp, wasn't great. I was a little bit lost during that. And then I was like, right, let's go see what other gyms are out there. And then I came over to here on a holiday, and I just walked into the old City Kickboxing when I was back closer to the city, because I was here for like a week or something. I just did a couple sessions. I was like, fuck, this place is pretty sweet. Like they got a lot of big guys here. Like I knew about Dan and Israel, and Kai and Shane had been in the UFC at that point, so I'd been watching it. And I was like, fuck, so this is how you actually like run a professional gym and train in like a team and stuff, because I did a couple of team sessions, and I was like, it's not that hard to move to New Zealand from Australia, so then I just moved over.
So it was a pretty easy decision then?
Yeah, pretty easy, yeah. I didn't have anything tie me down. Like I was still, I was just working for myself as a PT, and then I had like finished university a couple of years before that, and I was just living at home, so I was like, fuck, I'll just move.
Yeah. How did that chat with your parents go? And you're like, I want to be a fighter, a professional fighter.
I think because I had my first pro fight, like maybe like a month after I graduated from uni, and my mum was like, right, he's gonna graduate from uni, his fighting thing will be done, and he's gonna get like a real job. And I was like, I think I'm gonna have my first pro fight. She's like, what the fuck? And then I think she just accepted it after that. She's like, fine, if you want to do it, then just do it, but don't come crying to me if you get hurt.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And now that you've become a champion and you've been doing it for a few years, has the support kind of become a bit better, or are they still like?
I mean, the support was always there.
Yeah.
Like they never got angry at me for doing it, or didn't support me in any of the decisions that I had to do it. But like even when I moved to New Zealand, they were very supportive of that. So no, it's not like the support got better or bigger or anything. But I mean, now they get to travel to go and watch me fight, which is pretty cool. So I think they like that.
Do you get that in the contract when you say fights, like, hey, I want my parents to come watch, or are they not quite at that point?
I don't think I can call my shots yet in the contract,
Yeah.
but that'll be a stipulation at some point. Yeah.
You mentioned you used to game a fair bit when you were younger. You still game a bit?
No, I haven't gamed in a while. I do have an Xbox at home.
Collecting dust.
Collecting dust. The last game I was playing on that was Stardew Valley.
Oh man, and how did you get hooked?
I got hooked,
Yeah.
and then my girlfriend was like, what is this like 4 kilobyte, like 2-bit piece of crap game that you're playing? It's like, just got this like hypnotizing music to it, and she's like, it's almost like a Tamagotchi on the TV. And I was like, it's not really a Tamagotchi on the TV. It's a bit more
It's
extravagant than
farming
that.
relationships,
Yeah.
exploring some,
No, I was playing that, and I was playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I played that all during COVID.
Me too. I played it. I felt like my, I didn't know what to do with my life when it ended. Because I was so invested in the story.
I never got that far. I
you know-
got too hooked on like getting skins. Yeah. getting bear skins and like gator skins and stuff.
So how do you spend your time when you're not fighting then?
Oh geez, what am I doing? At the moment during training camp, it's sleep.
Yeah.
You sleep when you're not doing any of that. Outside of camp, I come here quite a bit and you just kind of hang out.
Soak up the vibes.
Yeah, soak up the vibes. Do a little bit of PTs, like holding pads for people, coaching classes, just like make myself useful. I don't really like sitting at home just doing nothing, like watching TV or anything like that. I try to read, but I fall asleep as soon as I start reading, so that's no good.
Do you use that to help sleep during camp?
Yeah, I do use that to help sleep. But generally, just like, this is my life. Like, I revolve my whole life around this. I don't have like a hobby. Like, I don't know, some of the guys got hunting or fishing or whatever. I don't really do anything like that. When I'm not in the gym, like it's always fighting. Maybe just going through something, doing something else that's going to help me with fighting. Whether it's like another form of training, like getting my cardio better, lifting weights, or just watching fights on YouTube, or watching jiu-jitsu, grappling comps, all that stuff. Just trying to be obsessed with it.
So do you ever kind of worry you might burn out because all you're doing is fighting and you've got nothing else that you kind of do on the side?
No.
Or is your passion that deep?
No, I just love it.
Yeah.
I just love it. Physically, definitely can burn out, for sure. But I mean, like, even when I just take like a day or two off and I know I need rest, this is outside of camp. I wouldn't do that in camp. I'm like, fuck, should probably do something. And then it's like, I'll just train my brain rather than training my body.
Because this is basically your job, when you're watching fights, can you watch them as a fan, or are you kind of analysing?
For sure. Yeah, I can definitely watch the fights as a fan. When I want to analyse a fight, I usually have to go back and watch it again. Like if I watch a fight live, that's when I'm watching it as a fan. But which fight was it? I think it was the Volk Islam fight. I'd watch that as a fan for sure. During the first one, I was way too hyped, probably a bit too drunk watching it as well to be analysing it. And then I had to go back and watch it a few more times to see what he did. Yeah, analysing it, watching it the second time is way better. You go back, rewind, make it slower, all that stuff. Yeah.
Brad Riddell does really good fight breakdowns.
Yeah, he does great breakdowns.
Yeah.
There's some guys out there who have like tremendous breakdowns on YouTube, Instagram, whatever. But yeah, Brad's definitely one of the better guys.
How's it been without him here?
It's been lonely.
Yeah.
We miss you, Brad. Nah, he looks very happy though over in Thailand. He's only, like a 10-hour flight to get there.
Yeah.
So if I miss him that much, I can always go over and train with him. But no, it was definitely a gap that he left at the gym that probably never going to be filled, but you know, he's not that far away if we want to go and train with him.
There's always a layover on the way back from Vegas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for chatting to me, Cam, and all the best for the Contender Series, and can't wait to catch up with you afterwards.
Sweet, thank you.